All right, you guys, we're going to talk about eagle posture. I am Michele, teacher here.
I'm Sarah, I'm a teacher here.
I'm Matt, I teach too.
And we're so happy you're here with us at Bikram Yoga San Jose. And you guys are like invited to our little parlor because we love being in the yoga room and having a conversation about yoga.
Yes,
so let's take apart like eagle posture. So eagle pose, we know that it helps to open up the joints, and think about it, right? We've done pranayama, standing deep breathing, we've done half moon, we've done awkward posture, and you can tell there's a little bit of energy in the room where it's like, oh man, I gotta get this posture, and then I have my party time, and I can finally, have my water. I personally used to maybe underestimate the power of this posture. I think I was one of those that maybe was a little bit guilty of like, oh, I can do this, and then I can't wait to have my water. And then over the years, I've realized how challenging it is for me, maybe as I'm getting older, realizing that I need it for my joints, also for my, blood pressure too. I find it to be quite a challenge, and I'm so happy that I do have it. So I pay much more attention to this pose, right? Because it is like a tourniquet effect,
it is.
And every joint in the body to help open up the joint. Bikram talks about like we're building that dam effect, right? And all that blood is collecting up, right? And it's like staying right there while we kind of shut it down in this tight tourniquet effect, creating so much pressure that by the time we release, oh my God, right? That high speed blood just flushes right out into the joints, which carries out junk, right?
Yes.
Like debris, acid, so that, you have synovial fluid, things that, help your joints kind of get, WD-40.
Lubricated.
Yeah, lubricated, yeah.
And there's another side that eagle was one of the ones that as a over flexible beginner I could do very easily, with the shoulders being pulled out, the wrists all bent so I could get my fingers, and then I could get my foot, no problem, probably more easily than I can now, but then I was like slumping the hips with this way, I was like slumping
I'm
down.
sure me too,
it was
Sarah.
like horrible
There's no
looking thing.
pictures of me. Amen.
But I think it's a common, it's a very, very common, because you hear people say, oh, I can't do yoga because I'm not flexible.
Oh,
How many times
well,
have you heard
this
that?
is not gold.
But you've heard that phrase so very many times, and I've had many, many students say that to me, or people who I've talked to about yoga who don't come to the yoga. So the problem is, this posture is a good example of where people imagine if they are relatively stiff, that it's not accessible to them, and people who are very flexible think, oh, this is really easy.
Yeah, right, it's one way or the other,
But it's actually not a posture designed to build flexibility. And I think often people think it's a posture designed to build flexibility. It's designed to build health in the joints. And so that requires muscular engagement in the joints, not wrapping yourself in a pretzel and just collapsing to the floor. And so I think that's where we've got to bring some awareness to that. So your range of motion, if you're really stiff, it doesn't matter if you're trying to do it the right way.
Yeah, but maybe emphasize that point again, because you guys, when we talk about yoga, right, there is this stigma that it's like, oh, it's for people who are flexible, right? When really, what is it about? It's about returning your own natural range of motion.
Exactly.
Right? And so it's the way in which you do these postures to help you return this range of motion. Right? Why? So that you can have a body full of vitality that maintains youth, is immune to diseases, right? So, and this is a posture, for that too, right? And once again, we got to get rid of these things that happen in our minds, right? So, maybe we can start then with like, what's a common, mistake or something that people naturally do that maybe we need to kind of go.
I'd like to start with the grips, and the one that I'd like to start with is this. So sometimes someone may have told you to do this, especially you've got big muscles or you're stiff. They'll say, oh, don't worry about the grip. Just get a hold of the shoulders and give them a good tug. Okay, this is actually, it has its place. Bikram will teach it. It is for somebody in those positions that I just described, but it's a starting point to get a good squeeze so that then you can try to do this. Now, ultimately, posture is going to look something like this. Mine probably isn't perfect, but it's more or less what it should look like. But you get the shoulders only to put yourself in a position so then you can squeeze the upper arms and bring the hands closer to each other. They might not go that close, they might only go here, but that's the reason for that. It's not to spend a life sentence tugging on your shoulders.
I can show you a little bit because I've got bigger shoulders. So here's me, and there was a gentleman in my teacher training who was like this, a big football player, massive shoulders. So this is him.
Yeah.
This is him doing his very, very best.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, this is just not happening. But what? And so watch.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I could do that again.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's just a tool, as you were
Right,
pointing out.
can you just
to
say
get
that,
to-
like show this side view, like you can really see like this, you can see that you're really kind of stretching,
Yeah.
right? And as you pull down more, right, too, right, just, yeah, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
right. you
And then
can
the other
really-
thing is, that,
yeah.
you know, again, as a stiff person, is if you've got stiff shoulders, like a wide, broad shoulders here, that tight shoulders, is that you tend to see this happen.
Yes.
Where basically they just give up this engagement.
Well, and
so,
you just lost it.
yeah, so all the
You can
tension
see,
has
yeah,
gone out of my
yeah,
shoulder. So again,
Yeah,
and then as Sarah was saying, trying to get the backs of the hands to come together until eventually
Yeah.
you can wrap like ropes.
right, yeah.
You can twist
yeah,
like ropes.
Yeah.
But the journey
This-
has to start
Yeah.
by getting them to here and to here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is a momentary tool to open the shoulder enough
Yeah,
to do this.
yeah.
It isn't a place to be. This does nothing.
Right.
This is me
right.
just.
Yeah.
Well, this is.
Hugging yourself.
This is. What was it? Wakanda Forever.
Yeah. Oh,
No, they do-
well,
oh, no, they
see,
do
now
that.
people
They
don't
do
want
that.
to do it.
No,
Oh,
they
yeah,
do
that's
that.
true.
But,
Yeah, not so.
yeah.
Yeah. But you know what is great when you guys were emphasizing that more, because that's not. But this was old school. I do hear myself saying this to somebody many years ago, but now I have a better understanding of it, where you are trying to. There was always though pull down. There was never just holding. There was always trying to pull down and create. But what I love about this, right, is getting the back of the hands together. You can see people's faces, and maybe you're one of those that's watching this, that, oh my, it's not going to take that much
Exactly.
for your hand
Yes.
to go this way,
Yes.
right? And you're going to feel like, oh my God, I can do it,
Yes.
right? It builds the confidence. So again, it's just another way to emphasize that if you have good teachers that show good technique, it's available to you, right? Right, yeah. So, remember, you guys, A before B. So pranayama, standing deep breathing, we're doing so much to warm up the scapula shoulder joint. You really got to work your neck and your shoulders, right, in that posture. And then, of course, we have half moon, we have awkward posture. So eagle is really emphasizing the shoulder blade deltoid joint, because guess what we're going to do next? Right, is standing head to knee and standing bow, where we're really kind of emphasizing, those. Besides the fact that you want to have, this is the area, right, the shoulders where it's so tight.
Yes. And so likely to.
Right.
Things.
Like you can see in class, we're lucky as teachers because we can see. I always like that bird's eye perspective because I see less face, more body.
Yes.
So you can see people who have short necks that go this way, necks that are too long, a shoulder that doesn't move. You can really see where they can overwork a part of their body and where there's a part of your body, right, that's not working. That's why, to have a teacher be able to help you correct areas, again, to go back to your natural range of motion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's other common grip things.
Yeah.
One is people, often beginners just confused, and that's normal. It's a bit of a conundrum, and actually it's kind of cool because the mind is waking up with new synapses, new neurologies as you try to work it out. So other than the problem which arm is right, which is left, which is always a difficult one.
Yeah.
So assuming you've got past that, then there's you had us had that a minute ago, that you don't get inside the elbows. So you cross the upper arms and squeeze them to get it. Once you're here, nothing going to happen.
Right.
So then.
Right, like turn to the side when you do that.
Yes.
Like do it right, so because we can even see in her t-shirt like how much and then do it wrong, and you can see that her t-shirt is floppy.
And then other things that this is one. Getting hold of the thumb and pulling it off the hand. I have a funny story about it, that a student once came to me and said, I can't, I've been telling her week after week, don't pull on your thumb, leave it alone, didn't like it. She comes and says, I can't do eagle pose anymore because my thumb hurts. And I'm saying, that's a good one. So now we can start.
Don't do that.
No, we don't get start. And then another one, I'm not exactly sure how this goes, but is so we say, And there are a few instructions like this. Try to get your fingers below your nose, and they might not go. What we were demonstrating for quite some time at the beginning was to bring the shoulders down, to open them, to open up the scapulae shoulder blades. So we say try to get your fingers below the nose, and some people hear this as try to get your nose above your fingertips. So there's different ways of doing that. You can curl up the hands like that, or you can go.
Yeah, I was going to say, do it from the side and do your chin up. I used to be one of those. So fingers below.
My nose is above my fingers. My fingers are not below my nose.
Very clever, but not the right way.
And then the other one is this one. You can interlace the fingers to begin with if you can't get your palms together yet. If you listen carefully to that, look, my fingertips are not lined up. My palms are together. Now I can play about with it if I'm interested, but that instruction is to get a grip where you can get your palms together. Maybe like this, you know, it's hard for you.
Right, I think sometimes that we think we've got to have it absolutely,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You know, where, look at my wrist.
Yes.
That's not good,
No.
right?
And look
so
now, that's perfect.
better. And then
Yes.
I can pull down, right?
Yes.
And then eventually maybe. But yeah, you don't want this stuff to happen,
I
right?
think
Or
one of
this.
the other things that's very
Yeah.
common as well is the arm that's underneath. So which is this arm. So if you see me from the side, you can see the underlying wrist is bent.
Yeah.
So for a stiffer person,
Yeah.
for a more flexible person, it tends to be the upper
Yeah.
wrist. But for a stiffer person, it tends to be the
interesting.
underlying wrist,
Okay.
like this.
That's a good
and
point,
so
yeah.
what you need to do is use strength in your hand and your fingers and your wrists
Yes.
to,
Do
and
that
you
again
can,
in front of the
yeah.
camera,
So
like the right,
you know, you
wrong.
need to
That's so
push
cool.
and even
Yeah.
crawl your way up.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
try and
Yeah.
straighten your wrist.
Right.
So now I'm
Yeah.
using a lot of wrist strength,
Yeah. But you're supposed to.
but it's coming all the way into my shoulders,
Yes.
and now I can pull my
Yeah.
elbows
Yeah.
down even more and
Yeah.
try and get my fingertips are nowhere near below my nose, but I'm trying. I'm trying, which is all that really matters. I'm trying.
Right, that you're trying. Exactly. Yeah, see above. Oh my gosh. And you guys, we say it. How many times do we
Yeah.
say in the dialogue, right? Line up your wrists,
Yeah.
elbows, knees, and ankles. Shoulder blades, scapula, elbows, wrists, hips, knees, and ankles. Your wrists. You got to use your wrists, right? You got to move the wrists.
The
Yeah.
other thing I want to say is that every finger in this is involved. The whole of it's involved because every single finger and thumb connects to a different piece of your shoulder structure. And so if you're doing this and you actually start to put some pressure into one or more fingers, you can feel that a different part of your neck structure is involved. And so if you're only kind of doing, say, just your index finger and your thumb or something, or a couple of fingers, and you're leaving the rest out, you're missing a lot of the opening up across the neck and the shoulder area that may not be obvious, but it's part of the biomechanicals of the
Well,
posture.
it is exactly what you're saying with half moon. We tell you to keep your hands palms together.
Yeah,
like glue,
this is,
right? And
this
remember,
is,
yeah, it's
this
all
action
of this.
is very,
Yeah.
very powerful for your shoulder and your neck structure. Learning how to do it. Like we say, weight evenly distributed over your foot goes all the way up through into the hip structure.
Yeah.
It's the same thing here. Palms
Right,
together
right.
goes all the way
and
up
again,
into
how
the
smart
shoulder and
Bikram
neck.
yoga
Yeah.
helping you to use
So again,
to get to these parts using your limbs.
Yeah,
right?
which again is
Using
another
your
thing, like to underscore
hands.
that all of the words we use in Bikram yoga are intentionally simple.
Yes.
But they aren't simplistic. So they are simple words, but they're not simplistic words. And so behind those simple words is stuff that we could spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours talking about.
Right.
And it wouldn't necessarily help you practice, but it would be fascinating. But so the best thing is just to take that simple word and try and do it as wholeheartedly, as completely as you possibly can.
Yeah, knowing that there's a universe of stuff going on that one simple
exactly,
action,
exactly,
right? And
exactly.
isn't that cool? It's like palms together. Oh my God, there's got to be a million things that are connecting, right?
You know, it's like the guru says, bring your palms together. Come back in 10 years.
Yep.
And I'll give you the next instruction.
It's true.
And if you do it that way, some of those things will emerge in your own body feeling. You feel them, you know what they are. You need to be able to have the discussion, but you don't have to read it in a book. You can find it for yourself.
They do.
Yeah.
And you just hit a point too, Sarah. Like the three of us, right? We learned this because we take the class consistently. You will too. Just take it consistently, and you will. You're going to open up into like so much knowledge, right? About yourself, about the universe, about how things work, about nature. It's just going to transcend you, truly, right? So yeah.
So you talk about the knees, the legs, the hips.
Right now the lower body.
Yeah,
Right?
sitting down.
Yeah, sitting down.
So again, this is something that I saw Bikram demonstrate, and actually it was the same guy. It was the same guy with the big heavy shoulders.
Oh, okay, Mr. Football player.
So Mr. Football player,
Yeah.
he's trying to do the posture.
Okay.
He's here.
Yeah.
And he is just stuck. And this is a guy who tries hard, he works hard, he gets in that room and he really tries. So we already talked about what he did with the shoulders.
Okay.
But what he did with the leg, he said, look, you've got to lift it up and over. And of course, what do we say in the second set typically?
Yeah.
The higher you lift the leg, but it's
Yeah.
not just doing this, because that wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
It's got to come up and over.
Right.
So the higher
The
you
lift.
lift. So if I cross, see, I'm pretty flexible, but if I cross my leg right close to the knee, not in a million years am I ever going to get this right.
Right.
Not in a million years.
Yeah.
But if I lift it up over here, oops,
Yeah.
if I lift it up over here, well, suddenly it's a whole lot easier to do that.
Yeah. Did you guys see that, right? Like we say that, and sometimes I don't think we understand that instruction is so important. The higher you lift the leg, the more space you create, because it's better.
Because it's not about the flexibility of my ankle.
Yeah, right.
It's not all the flexibility of my knee. When I lift up, this is all about building flexibility and stability within my hip.
Yeah.
This is just me hip, the thighs crossing, then I can may or may not be able to get the wrap depending on how much flexibility I have in my ankles
But
on
you have
any
to
given
start,
day.
right?
Yeah, you've got to start somewhere.
You have to start. And remember, you're warmed up enough to try, right? And we're asking you to be on one leg because guess what's coming? Right? Like the standing head to knee, all those standing locked out knee postures, right? So you're actually attracting more concentration to try to balance on one leg.
And you have to, one way, if you find it hard to balance in eagle, we don't talk about concentration in eagle, but if you've done one class, you know we're going to talk about next posture.
Yeah.
You have to concentrate. You have to suck the stomach in actually as well. That's another instruction. You have to keep it and you have to concentrate. And the more you do that, the more you can balance, the more you can make these fine details.
Yeah, and the better you're standing head to knee.
And the better you're standing
you
head
can
to
tell
knee.
in class too, right?
The other one is, which of course applies to all of the postures we do everywhere, which is you should never be sinking or collapsing into anything you do ever. So if this is me, just forget my arm, this is me holding myself up.
Yeah, you look
I'm
like
coming
you
down
are.
and holding myself up.
Right.
This is me.
Yeah, you guys.
Collapsing.
Yeah.
This is me collapsing.
Right.
I have no control.
And
I have no
and guess
stability.
What, guys? Guess what's happening to that
And my knee is just
that is
painful. My hip
good.
is twisting out.
Yeah.
If I did this every day, I would have hip problems. I'd eventually need a hip replacement. It would be horrible.
Right. Especially when you're telling them to move the knees to the left.
In fact, actually, my hip now. But I mean, ironically, my hip's now aching.
Yeah.
From just demonstrating.
Yes.
You know, and obviously that was just one moment for 10 seconds.
Right.
So imagine if you did that every day.
And the hips are supposed to be in the chair.
Yeah,
right?
sucked in.
So many things are coming up. It's the thing to be aware of. If you're practicing consistently and something gets worse and worse, please ask a question. It's your technique. It's not the posture. It's not you. It's the technique.
You. Right. Exactly. Please do that. A lot of people go, "Oh, I hurt myself, so I'm going to take a week off." It's like maybe you need to talk to a teacher about the posture area that hurts, and we can see if there was something that maybe you didn't do quite the right way, right?
But I think it goes back to pain, obviously Annie Cleves, our principal teacher, would, lecture for more than an hour to the trainee teachers about this, there's two types of pain. There is the screeching, screaming pain of agony that the body is screaming at you, stop, whatever it is you're doing, just stop it right now. And then there's all the other kinds of pain, that which is just your body giving you information. And so if it's hurting, the message isn't stop doing it. The message is pay attention to what you're doing. And start to get a bit more interested in it and try and see if you can begin to understand what's contributing. Now, it could be that you're standing on a nail, in which case stop standing on a nail. But at some point that probably becomes an acute pain. But it's information. And I think we tend 100%. To, in our modern world, because we don't live a very robust sort of outdoory life, we're not used to discomfort, so we don't know how to deal with it when it happens. So our first call is usually to go to a doctor or simply stop doing whatever it was that was uncomfortable.
Me too. I think all of us in our DNA is like, but then if you kind of be conscious for a moment and you're like, okay, wait a minute, like where is that? And then like for me, my hip, like I interview around it. Like what is my leg? Is it strong enough, right? Am I having enough breathing? Do I allow some space in there? Am I holding my stomach in, right? Like, you know, take your time with it. If it's a searing pain, you're right, like just back off a little bit. Doesn't mean you need to jerk out of it. You don't want to do that either, right? But if you find like it's a stretching pain, then, oh, that's good news. Then just give it more breath and like, you know, work with it. I always say like work alongside it like your buddies, as opposed to like being mad. You know, you're mad, right? Or you're frustrated, because then you're in opposition and you could really hurt yourself.
So I had the experience, which was not yoga, but it's directly related, which is I drove up Route 1, the coastal highway, for a whole bunch of hours, driving, got out in the parking lot and almost fell on the ground because my hip and my knee was killing me and it was really painful. And why was that? It was because as I was driving, my foot was turned out at the hip, so the knee was bending in a weird way as I kept on using the accelerator. So my knee was twisted, causing aggravation. The hip was twisted in a very unhealthy way. The ankle was twisted. Everything was twisted. And I was sitting there immobile driving.
And you probably had atrophy in your muscle. Your poor muscle was
very everything else. And of course the blood flow was disrupted. Very simple, but obviously the solution was not to stop driving. You know, and that's really the point, was I didn't say, okay, driving's bad for me. I said, what's going on, why does it hurt, and what can I do differently? And like you said, if you can't come up with your own answers, which is always the best ones, to be honest, then come and ask us, and we will do our best to contribute to your own journey of self-discovery.
That's what we're here for. That's what we're here for. We love that.
And we all develop with how we think to use our body. And we all develop idiosyncratically. So all of us are very good at certain movements. And those tend to correspond with the posture that you come in as a beginner and you just, that's simple.
Or it's your feet.
Right. Or there's other postures which you're fine at, there's nothing special, you don't love them. And there's that posture that you simply can't do. Now, this is a whole bunch of learning you don't have yet. You don't know how to use it. Our teacher would say, having does many things you don't know. You have it all there, but you don't know how to use it. So this is where you can, over time you can many times work it out for yourself, but there are postures, one particular one, standing separate knee, that I could never work out. I had to be taught it. But what I did come to the realization was, if there was nothing wrong with my body that couldn't do this posture. If I couldn't do it, it's because I didn't know what I was doing. So I asked somebody who did, which happened to be Matt.
But isn't that beautiful? Like, how much time did you spend thinking that something was wrong with you?
9 years.
How much?
9 years. So
I
learned a lot
and
from
we
that.
all do that.
And now, the mechanics of it, often it's something quite simple that you never thought of because your whole neurology goes a different direction. And then you find it out and you're like,
You remind me of Earl Nightingale, because you're given a spine, you're given a brain. You didn't have to, invest, save money, go find the right brain, So we have a tendency, and automatically we're born and use them. And I hate to say it, we take it for granted. And a lot of times it's not until something happens, right, that you're like a wake-up call, right, and you learn a little bit more. So sometimes I think for me, right, if I'm not feeling my best, and it's an opportunity for me to study a little bit more than I would otherwise.
So here's an analogy. So here's an analogy. So we've all, most of us have modern cars. How many of us can put a hand on our heart and say we understand every single feature of the vehicle? Every last little control button, thingy, setting, whatever. No, of course we don't. We haven't read the manual. Now, in that case, we have a manual. We just didn't read it. But with our bodies, we don't even have a manual.
Our heart beats like 400,000 times a day. Can you imagine if we had to think about 400,000 times?
But I would say, going back to the posture, one other thing. So we talked about the arms. And we talked about
you guys remember, right? Pull down this, better than this, right? Kind of thing. Some things like not to do, and just be okay with it if it's normal for this to be tight, right?
And we talked about lifting the leg up. But another thing that's very common, and again has related to range of motion, if I show from the side, it's probably a little bit easier, which is you no matter how much you cross the leg, you get stuck here, and you see there's this big gap. And you hear the teacher often say something about trying to eliminate the gap between the ankle and the foot. And they say some other stuff, but usually you don't hear it, which is also eliminate the gap underneath the knee. And so if you can push the foot down, so that action of doing that, see how much my hip is now moving to be able to do that. Now I may or may not today be able to get the foot, no, not so much a bit stiff. Maybe if I sit down a little bit more, a little bit more. Yeah. Maybe I can get the foot round, maybe. Right. That's okay, it doesn't really matter if I can or can't, it only matters if I'm trying. But it starts with eliminating this gap. Yeah. If I'm up here, I'm always going to feel unstable because I don't have my two legs together as one solid foundation.
Right. Let's talk about that for a second, because when I watch Matt do that, you see when he does it the right way, he's not putting so much stress on his knee.
Yes.
You're putting more effort into like the upper thighs nice and tight, right? Like if you didn't have that, I feel like your pressure's on your knee, right? But if
it's all really in here.
So here I am, I'm gonna like really slide my foot down, right? And I'm really feeling it in here, right? And here as I sit down, right? Like, I don't know if I have it the right way, but I want to, that one's okay. So, let's see, I'll just try it here if you can see. So, all right, down and then sit so hard, right, to stay down there and lift the leg high, up and over, foot around, right? And then you guys correct me if I need it. And then I'm gonna sit. Now I don't have pressure on my knees. I really don't. I really have it. And that's where I'm emphasizing my stomach in. I'm squeezing at the groin and I'm sitting. And then here's the other part too, right? That let me try again. Is like we got to lift the chest. We lift the chest.
I personally think to go right up from the groin where you were talking. So it's like the whole. You come right up from there.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess
and then you get even more.
Right.
It's supposed to be good.
I feel and I feel a flushing here. Even in your lymphatic and reproductive and femoral artery, all that. And I can hear Emmy also saying that we lose our lumbar curve just by the way that we sit in chairs, as you're saying, or drive, right? And she's always saying in this posture to lift the chest up and she calls it reestablish the lower lumbar curve, right? So you see people that they just go straight down. It's not straight down, it's down, but it's back. And then at the end, right, lifting up a little bit more, right? So,
Again, to emphasize, when you hear that, slide the foot down to eliminate the gap between the knees, between the ankle and the calf muscle. It doesn't mean you have to be able to do it today.
Right.
But the fact that you can't do it today doesn't mean you should say, oh, never mind. You have to take the action. Just immediately getting that effect.
Right.
Well, it's an interesting point about, because we say this all the time, a lot of our actions try and touch the ceiling. Well, it's not, I didn't reach.
Right.
It's not. It's not a momentary attempt. It's a try and touch the ceiling.
Okay, this is my starting point.
Trying to touch the ceiling.
Right, try.
Today it doesn't look like I'm going to touch the ceiling, but I can keep trying. And in fact, actually, if you even look at me in the space of 30 seconds, I'm actually reaching higher up than I was when I started this moment.
And I often feel that way too, even in the posture. The moment I start it doesn't mean it's the same place that I'm going to be at the end of the pose. Right? So that goes with, let's go back to ego for a minute, is I think sometimes when we lift the leg up and over, we stand up. Right? And then you got to practice sitting down, right? And I hear you say, Bikram says it like minimum 6 inches. I mean, that's part of, the technique and getting the health of the posture.
But it's also learning,
hips. You got to sit.
But it's also learning, how do you lift the leg? Do I lift my leg by doing this?
Yes.
Is that how I lift my leg? Which is why you stand up. So can I learn that versus that's lifting my leg?
See that? So what if that was a starting point for some people?
So this is just my leg.
Again,
this is not really separating the different bits of the body and understanding that they can actually move separately from one another.
So do it. Put your arms, and then sit down. Right, and now he's staying down there, and right leg high up and over, and then good. Right, and then would you sit down a little bit more? Sit down and lift the chest more, and then twist like ropes. Good. Knees right, upper body to the left. Do you see anything? Right, that's good. Yep, and then chest up, upper body back. Okay. So now try it again. So change, come on out, and now do it where your arms are the right way. You can do the other side if you want to, and then sit down, and then do it where we see a common mistake where you stand up. Right, where they're not. Okay, so now he's there, right, and now it's time to stay down there, and what happens a lot? So now do it the right way. Right, what a difference. And, you know, if it's hard, what would be the thing that you would have them do? Just keep trying to lift the leg.
Yeah.
Just try to lift the leg. Remember, this is what returning range of motion, just lifting that. We take it for granted. This is hard to do.
Yes, and of course,
if we don't do it enough.
And we're
right?
about to do it in the next question, because it isn't.
Right. Yeah, right.
It's-
Yeah. Yes.
Now, obviously, to begin with,
Yeah.
I couldn't do this.
Right,
I
right.
wasn't related to
Yeah.
how to separate
Yeah.
the movements of different
Right.
parts of my body.
Exactly.
But we learn.
Yeah.
We learn
Right,
that
right.
in time we learn
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
they can move separately.
Yes.
Yeah. And everybody's entitled to this, you guys, right? We're all entitled to this, whether you're what we call negative 10,000, meaning maybe you're coming back from never working out, or you've had severe injuries, or you have pins in your knees, or whatever, or you're somebody that's been healthy and been an athlete your whole life. You come in here, right, and you just start from scratch. And the more you do this, the more you'll maintain what should be your right, which is normal health for you to lead the life you want to lead. Like, everybody has the capacity to do it,
Yes.
which is why we do it,
Which is
right?
why we do it,
Which is
yes.
why we love it, right?
Yes.
It doesn't favor anybody. So
Yes.
get that, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, this was such a great conversation about Eagle Pose, you guys, right? And that was the warm-up series. So now we're going to leave you to have your party time, have some water, and we'll see you soon.
Enjoy your party. See you soon.